Federal Executive Council approves the installation of more power substations. House of Representatives supports establishment of Entrepreneurship Development Bank. Plus, China market rise as data shows factory activity grew in June while Asian stocks slip. This is Business Express on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and we're reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Leah Katun Baba today. You're welcome. All right, we begin by informing you that the Federal Executive Council has approved the installation of more power substations as the federal government continues its intervention in the power sector.
The first memo seeks to give contract for design, supply, and installation of 1 by 60 MVA, 132 33 kV transmission substation with associated 4 by 132 kV line bay extension at Hong local government in Adamawa State.
FEC also approved a proposal by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, that will raise revenue by 3.96 trillion naira per annum from the non-oil sector and 160 billion naira per annum from oil sector. Livelihoods of about 40% of the world's population living at or near coast. Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, while addressing the UN Ocean Conference, said the global community must embrace multilateralism to strengthen sustainable ocean-based economies and manage coastal ecosystems.
Specifically, the agreement establishes a fund starting at $10 million but going up to $20 million or more to provide technical assistance and capacity building to developing countries, helping them implement the new rules and improve their fisheries management.
That countries can achieve blue or sustainability by addressing the impacts of climate change on ocean health and marine pollution, be resilient by building adaptation and resilience, for instance through integrated coastal and marine management and protecting natural capital, and be inclusive by unleashing the benefits through driving growth, creating livelihoods and jobs, and help strengthen food security.
The House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill to establish the Nigerian Entrepreneurship Development Bank aimed at easing access to finance for small businesses in the country. When established, the bank will provide medium and long-term loans for indigenous small businesses, particularly those owned by young persons, to enhance financial inclusiveness. The legislation seeks to encourage aspiring entrepreneurs and growth of small-scale enterprises in Nigeria to promote economic development. How much is the Naira exchanging for other currencies? Let's find out. More Nigerians have adopted the e-Naira platform as a means of financial transaction owing to its seamless mode of operation with no extra charges during transfer of funds from a wallet to another wallet. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria head e-Naira sensitization team Lagos Tayo Olujegbe made the statement at the end of a roadshow in Lagos organized to enlighten more people on the benefit of downloading the e-Naira application on their mobile phones. Abolade Salami reports.
With efforts being intensified by the monetary authorities to achieve a sustainable reduction in the number of unbanked Nigerians, reports has it that over 40 million persons are not captured in the country's financial system. In bridging this gap, the Apex Bank is exploring all available means to reduce persons not involved in the system of banking through the introduction of the e-Naira wallet to encourage the participation of a larger percentage of persons in a means of financial transaction. This time around, CBN officials are reaching out to traders at the Tejuosho market in Yaba to carry out an enlightenment campaign on the need for the traders to come on board the e-Naira wallet as mode of financial payments.
The digital form of the normal e-Naira, the fiat e-Naira we have around, does the same way you have your Naira notes in your wallet. It's the same way you can actually have a digital copy of your Naira in your e-wallet.
As the wallet is designed to accommodate an individual in funds transfer, the CBN officials say opportunities are also created for the merchants, which traders can maximize.
It goes further to reducing the cost of transaction that I'm sending from my mobile app to another person's mobile app. Thereby, some money is being withdrawn from my account. There's nothing like that. In as long as you are transferring from your wallet to the other person's wallet. The reason why we are saying wallet to wallet is simply because the money in your pocket or in your wallet, when you bring it out, nobody charges you for it. So when you give it to another person, he put it in his wallet. It has no cost, no charge. So it's seamless.
The Apex Bank, while reassuring Nigerians on the safety of the system of financial transaction, maintained that its intervention programs towards economic growth will be sustained.
Nigeria is making moves to key into the global pasture business. The global forage business is worth more than $10 billion and is largely being controlled by Americans. Minister of Agriculture said the plan and ground is for Nigeria to be a major exporter in West Africa. Musa Baba Aliu tells us more.
Grass everywhere, but not all are edible for animals. And this explains why some animals, especially cattle, sheep and goats, move around grazing areas, selecting edible grasses. These cattle here are grazing freely without molestation. This is because the land is federal government dedicated grazing area. Though this area vast and small animal population grazing on it, yet edible grasses are not sufficient for the animals. This ceremony, taking place a few meters from where these animals are grazing, is the flagging off of the National Pasture Development Program of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. The idea is to educate cattle breeders on the benefit of planting grasses for their animals or for commercial purposes. The Emir of Muri from Taraba State, northeast Nigeria, who is also a cattle breeder, spoke about the economic value of the pasture business.
From that pasture, the person spent only 7 million naira to develop the pasture. We are cutting it, bagging it, and selling it, and we are even ready for it. From Abuja to Kano, we are sending 3 trailers of pasture at 2 million naira each every week. So from an investment of 10 million, that person can earn the same 10 million every 60 days because you can cut the pasture 4 times. And the pasture God has given Africa is called Paradoa.
I use this opportunity to call on all states to key into the National Livestock Product Transformation Plan, now and coordinated by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. I also urge partners within the livestock industry, especially researchers, academia, subnational government, international development partners, and private sector to embrace this laudable National Pasture Development Program by actively participating in the value chain production, processing, and marketing for sustainable and improved ruminant animal production in Nigeria.
It is in this same vein that we welcome the National Pastoral Development Program with the hope that it will help revitalize the livestock subsector towards meeting its expected potentials in terms of increase in foreign exchange earnings for the country, as well as becoming a viable vehicle for employment, income generation, infrastructural development, and above all, sustainable societal growth.
To this end, June 28 every year has been set aside as Pasture Planting Day to strengthen the commitment of not only making grass available for grazing, but also ending farmers-herders conflicts.
So, how can Nigeria capitalize on agri-exports and particularly the grass market? I have with me an agricultural economy analyst and president, National Pasture, Muhammad Ali Baba. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
It's interesting to hear the new drive on growing pasture. Can you just give us an insight how this market operates?
Well, in the first place, we need to reiterate the basic objectives of actually, the federal government embarking on this. Apart from the international market, which is an attraction, the first objective actually is to provide an enabling environment for the commercial production of pasture, generally, because, the architect, the template here generally is that herders expect to get grass free. So the objective here is create that environment where both the herders and even ordinary farmers can go into pasture production because it's highly economical. The second objective is also to encourage the private sector itself to venture into it. Just like you mentioned, there are huge export potentials are available. And then another objective of launching this program is actually to provide the capacity, because even you are surprised, and a lot of Nigerians are even surprised that you can make money from grass, because just like we said, herders see grass as a free range. And then, of course, in order to achieve that, another objective of this launching is actually to encourage centralization. These farmers need to stay in one place. And as we all know, there are a lot of grazing reserves across the country. In fact, there are 415 of them.
Oh, wow.
Across the country, estimated to cover about 4.4 million hectares, spread across the states, particularly in the north. And a lot of them have been gazetted. Nearly 3 million of those, grazing reserves are gazetted. So they are just waiting for the right environment, the right incentives for people to go in. But most importantly, we're all aware of the farmer-herder crisis. It's so unnecessary because there is no basis for the fight. And prior to now, you realize that farmers actually invite the herders to settle, and then they move so that the place is fertilized. Yeah. And interestingly, we are going back to that era now because organic food is the in thing now. It attracts premium, prices. So ultimately, people will now realize we have to start, especially if we are targeting the export market, we have to start de-emphasizing the inorganic fertilizer. So basically, the essence is to achieve multiple objectives. And like we say, since there is money there, it's already established that agric is the most elastic if you want to create jobs. Now, this is another window. We've been happening on rice, wheat, and the others. Now, there are some countries, particularly Finland, that actually largely depend on livestock. And nearly 60–70% of the livestock business is actually the feed. But you see, like I said, because of lack of intervention, lack of modernization, the herders have seen, felt it just has to be free. Now, so the most critical challenge now is sensitization of both the herders and then, of course, the farmers and then general business environment so that people will go into production, go into processing and then marketing. Now, like I said, everyone knows you just established that it's worth nearly $10 billion across the world. And then, in fact, there are already export orders from particularly Dubai and other places. There are orders. But you see, we just have to focus on the home front first, because we have multiple challenges to address with this. Okay,
now, how do we address issues of, for instance, if I decide, okay, I want to farm the grass, and then I'm having people encroach into the farm, are you envisaging all these kind of things?
Yeah, you know, like I said, this grazing reserve are specifically, ages ago, since 50s, in the First Republic, have been settled, because, you know, those our past leaders are very visionary. You know, they were very clairvoyant, because they envisaged a situation where this, you know, roaming around will no longer be, you know, feasible. So they envisaged that, and then they provided this grazing reserve, so that specifically, just like you create industrial clusters, you know, for manufacturing, and then, of course, you provide housing estates also as a business venture. So these grazing reserves have been created to enable people to focus on that aspect of the business. So the issue of encroaching, because essentially, if you are in that reserve, you are mainly for that purpose. Of course, because there are farmers around too, they are also free to either farm what they are, in which case there will be demarcation. But you see, even those farmers are being encouraged, because there is no exclusivity there. You only farm what brings you money.
Of course.
Of course, if you sell the fodder, because it's attracting more, just like the Emma said now, on an hectare, if you farm maybe maize or rice, you get 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 per hectare, you know, net. Now, with fodder, you can make 1 million, 1.2 million. No, but you see, we needed to not only since that develop the market, because like I said, the herders for now feel it's free, so they move around. But by the time they can't move around, and they have been encouraged, because in these grazing reserves, there are social amenities being provided, schools, hospitals, you know, markets, and the like. So it will be a hub of economic activities that even the herders, because you see, they say only the child with wet nappy welcomes change. Naturally, there will be resistance. You know, virtually humans are programmed to resist change. But by the time they appreciate the benefit, of course, I mean, everybody goes into it. So the efforts will be made to sensitize all the economic actors, starting with the herders and then the farmers. The farmers, like I said, they can live side by side, because in this grazing reserve, only most of the farmers generally, you know, their farms are near their homesteads. But this grazing reserve are largely in the bush. So it can be easily demarcated that the farmlands will not be near the grazing reserves. And under this arrangement, it's either you produce the fodder, and then you do either silage, or you parcel them for sale, or you can do, if it's the farmer, the herder that has it, he can do free range. You grow it, and then, you know, send your cattle into it. So either way, I mean,
still
you are taking, thank you, it's still a profitable venture.
Yes, okay. So the emir I listened to earlier talked about a Nigerian market, and you also emphasized that we should feed the Nigerian market first before thinking about export. Where exactly are those places where we have farmers, cattle farmers, herders who are already buying these fodders?
No, you know, there are a lot of ranches. You know, there are dairy factories.
Yes.
You know, part of the, apart from, you know, food too, there's the federal government and CBN efforts to also domesticate and minimize imports of milk. So the dairy farms are interested in setting, you know, in maybe taking over this grazing reserve, or actually relating with it. So there are dairy farms where they produce milk, in which case their own cattle don't roam around.
Yes.
And they would naturally are the first set of off-takers of this, of pasture. But like I said, the market is so huge. All we needed is to actually sedentarize these herders in this grazing reserve after providing, conducive environment for them. You provide all those social amenities, provide water, provide veterinary clinics, and even human clinics. And then they'll start settling down. A lot of effort is actually required, because like I said, of course there will be resistance.
Yes,
but advocacy and involvement, once you prove concept, because that's what matters. In the settled places, the dairy, factory, dairy processors actually come and take. So rather than their women going around with it on their head, they simply,
they provide
convenience.
very healthy.
So they'll provide convenient containers for them to, and then they come and take and go and process. So it's a gradual process. But now that the federal government has launched this scheme, you're aware there's the National Livestock Transformation Plan. This is an adjunct to it, it's part of it. Because like I said, feed is very essential for livestock. You can see it's happening in what do you call it, poultry.
Yes.
So these two we needed, that's why we're headed.
Okay.
So I want that one settles. Everyone will come in. It's truly a very viable venture.
Okay, I must thank you, Mr. Mohammed Ali Baba, for always coming to give us some insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we move next to Surviving COVID-19 series as put together by Boss the Able.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
I'm into business like cotton, bed sheets, window blind, and also other sorts of interior equipment. I'm into it, yes. I started this business since 2018. This is our business. Like now, it's so hard for us. You can see, look at all the shops, my neighbors, all of us, we are just gisting, discussing how it is. Because now, before, and as that 2019 to this 2020, things are moving fine. Only that coronavirus, it just come and affects all our business. Some people lose their shop, some people quit from the business. Even we that is here, we are just managing. We are trying to accommodate, encourage ourselves, because if you quit from here, where are we heading to? That is why. It's only my service. Do you understand? I will personally tell you, my service, I spend it finish. And since by the special grace of God, when they suspend the COVID-19, do you understand? We are just meeting up small. Do you understand? I hear about that. I even see the message, but those things is something that you have to be careful about them, because anything concerning loan, you have to be capable and be serious about the loan. Do you understand? You can't just go into the loan, go and collect loan when you know that what you have is not up to pay back.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank.
Well, stocks in Nigeria have opened this morning on a slow note as the NGX closed on a flat note amid sell-offs in buying interest as the benchmark all-share index depreciated by 0.3 basis points. The NGX all-share index closed at 51,802.48 points to reflect a decline of 0.003% from the previous trading day and a year-to-date return of 21.27%. Meanwhile, the market capitalization declined by 811 million naira at the close of the market on Wednesday, the 29th of June 2022. The stock exchange market value stood at 27.93 trillion naira. And that was at the end of that day's session. And of course, that will be the opening notes this morning. Anyway, from home, let's find out what the polls feels like.
Global investors will be digesting the latest developments from the NATO summit in Madrid. NATO leaders have invited Sweden and Finland to join the alliance after Turkey withdrew its objections to the new members and the organization retreated its support for Ukraine, as well as outlined its plans to revamp its deterrence and defense strategies. European stocks opened lower on Thursday, with all the region's major indices trading lower on the final trading day of the first half of the year. The lower open for Europe comes as market sentiment remains gloomy. Chinese stocks rose on Thursday as government data showed factory activity grew in June, but most other Asia-Pacific indices fell. The Shanghai Composite advanced 0.93% to 3,392.25, while the Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong declined 0.94%, and the Nikkei in Japan also dipped 1.54% to close at 26,393.04. U.S. stock index futures declined early on Thursday morning as the S&P 500 prepares to wrap up its worst first half in decades. Futures contracts tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average shed 1 point. The S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq 100 futures also depreciated. While markets in Africa are yet to post new figures for the day. Boss said they able. Business Express.
And this is where we end this episode of the program. Don't forget you can access all previous episodes on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us via our various social media handles. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, questions, suggestions coming in. Join us again Friday at 3 p.m. for another package. I'm Leah Katung Baba today. Have a blessed day.